In medicine, there's an overwhelming problem with information overload. I think that a lot of doctors have access to endless medical journals, guidelines, and it's impossible to keep up.
There's 10 to 20,000 new or updated papers published every single day. If you wanted to read every paper that came out and stay abreast of every, morsel of medical knowledge, you would literally spend all of your time just reading.
So before OpenEvidence, a lot of physicians were using sources like PubMed or other legacy tools to kind of read up on latest medical literature. However, that takes on the order of 15, 20 minutes, sometimes even an hour.
Put yourself in the shoes of a doctor, seeing 20, 30 patients a day, and in 2 to 3 minutes, you can try to roughly sort of find whatever information you have in a little bit of time, and then time's up, that's it, that's all you've got, and you kind of just have to do your best.
The problem OpenEvidence solves is to take the entirety of medical knowledge and make sure it's at the fingertips of physicians at the moment they're making a decision for a patient.
In my day-to-day working in the ER, I literally will be sitting in my workroom with all of my colleagues, and every single person has 2 things open on their screen: Epic and OpenEvidence. That is literally how it's being used every day. Within one shift, I'll ask 20, 30 different questions from all specialties in medicine. It's just allowed you to be a better doctor, frankly.
When a doctor asks a question or starts a conversation, there's hundreds of machine learning queries that get kicked off in the background. Every single one of those has to go right. On the basis of those, we'll fan out into tens or hundreds of different possible pathways. And then the end result ends up being choreographed between a bunch of different models behind the scenes.
Everything in medicine is interconnected. And the magic moment for me with OpenEvidence is when I put in a patient that had a lot of comorbidities and complications, and it was able to parse through all those complications and recognize the pieces that were interconnected that might affect the treatment decision I made for them.
We take the kind of second responsibility of making sure we're always giving the best possible answers, that we're always accurate to what the medical literature says.
More patients are getting the right information at the right time with the most current information available.
We rely on inference as kind of like the core piece powering our search models, and then ultimately, the answers that we're able to give to doctors. So it's an integral part of the system. What Base 10 provides is the levels of speed and reliability that are kind of up to the task of serving doctors in their most important moments. Base 10 has just been really helpful for us for everything that we need. That's just, something that we really appreciate. Today, we have just under half the doctors in the country using OpenEvidence regularly as a critical part of their toolkit. We're excited about bringing OpenEvidence to every doctor in the United States, and through them, allowing doctors to give the absolute best possible care to every patient. OpenEvidence makes it as easy as possible and as efficient as possible to get the best possible answers. And the downstream effects of that is just strictly better care for patients around the United States.